Here with Coach Frye getting ready for the Weems Baskin this weekend out at Krager Track. Coach, we have a nice group of key teams coming this week, but it's finally going to be the time to hit the track here at home. How excited are you?
Really excited. Our kids hadn't had a chance to be on a home track and prepare for a senior year. We got double seniors running, and we got kids who come back from indoors who didn't get a chance to open up. We have some kids that opened up last week some had scary openers and got rid of the jitters, and then some had just big openers. So we got an array of situations. Gave us some idea of what kind of team I think we probably got somewhere around 6 or 8 kids that were pretty solid qualifiers for the nationals, which is good. We're looking to see how many more kids we can get there and see can we get a relay there and those things. So just lots of stuff. Getting to see some of our COVID kids who didn't get to compete last year, indoors, and they didn't get outdoors. So they rewarded them back an indoor season, which I think was quite unfair compared to cross country is run now. Last year they ran cross country, and then this year we ran cross country, and then we came back in the 21st we ran cross country, and now we have 3 championships for some kids, but for indoor COVID kids, they didn't get a chance to have a season, a national championship last year, and they didn't get to have one this year. And where there are other kids that had 3. So we see that's kind of unfair. But the NCAA has made some judgments that hadn't been comparable for fairness toward the athlete, as we see with the women's basketball. And we don't know what that does and who's making those decisions on what type kids they're making those decisions, because we see too many kids have gotten more opportunities and a different opportunity. And then that's just something that we have a judgment. So our sport here, we reopen up our season, and we're going to give all the COVID kids from this region of South Carolina. So it's going to be a bigger meet than, not as big as we would have had in the past before COVID, but it is a little bigger than some of the schools that are having only 10 teams. We're going to have 20 plus teams and right at the edge of 30 teams here. Most of them was small schools, except for A&T and 2 powers. A&T State University, who's a NCAA top 10 school, and Kentucky, a top 10 school. Those 2 schools give us a power here. Gives us some teams to take and get in, latch in on. And Coastal Carolina got a really good men's team that didn't have indoor track, same stuff, not having opportunities. So we're giving those kids get an opportunity to go away from home and run, but they are good, really good. They're like their football and like their and like their baseball. And so our kids got to be ready to get in and scrap with a power HBCU and a power school, that in-state school, and then an SEC school.
Awesome. And then, this last week, Lee Abrams, you mentioned some of those kids that got to make their first runs, and she goes out and puts the number 1 time, or an early time in the season, but still a really good time for her start. What'd you like out of her, as she was named, the co-runner of the week in the SEC this week?
Well, I mean, those are things that Leah's capable. Leah just came off being 12th at the World Championship. That's the last time she got a chance to run an outdoor track meet. And she was running 51 seconds at that point. So it's a matter of getting back. She's never opened this fast. This week, Aaliyah's going to run 200 meters. I saw a tremendous workout yesterday. It was Kareem does a good job bringing them around and projecting based off of their workouts, and she's a 51 mid at this point. That was a big headwind last week on her, and she ran that. But I'm not. Next week she should be able to go where she stays in the top bracket of the quarter. This week, the Kentucky has 3 girls that are capable of running sub 52. So we're not racing versus them. Our main focus this week is running a good mile relay and getting our speed work up with Stephanie and Aaliyah, getting some 200s in and running a 4x1, and then preparing to open in Florida when there'll be Southern Cal, Florida, Kentucky, and us are at that meet. So we gotta make strategies on how loaded we do with athletes coming off the nationals and athlete coming off running 52 seconds and running a 51.1 anchor leg on a 4x4. So Lil got a lot of work last week of not having an indoor season. So excited about it. Our discus throw last week was awesome. I mean, winning that discus and having a personal best was just great. And so we liked our shot put, Springs, Malik's discus, and her shot. That was just great efforts there. AK having a good 1500, leading her into. Maybe this week she'll go away to run. We're not certain. The heat looks like it's going to be. We're going to do what's in the interest. It looks like Raleigh's going to be too hot to run a 5K. So I talked to Andrew. We're probably going to back out of that race and run. See how the weather looks like down in Florida. We don't want to waste the opportunities. There's only so many 5Ks that can run. So our coaches, with the experience of our coaches, were able to do what's in the interest of our kids. I like the way we are able to make the decisions for our kids so that we can be that team with that chance at that run. We want more kids at that regional meet so we get a big run at the national meet.
Yeah, and you talked about some of these kids that are going to make in their first competitions back, and you mentioned some of the throws, and my first thing that I thought of was seeing Eric Favors maybe going out and throwing this weekend. How excited are you to see him? He's been working so hard, and to finally see him go out here and compete.
Well, I try to keep that on low key because he's having some good practices, and then he got such a great practice, and then a week before, and he got only one chance to go throw, and he sprained an ankle. So he's coming off an ankle sprain. Why the upper part of his body is ready to go big. It's scary. To see him open here, and I'm talking to Sarge. We are banked into what we can be at the end of the year. We're not peaking for Weems Baskin relay, but it'd be fun to watch him open. I still want to hold him back, and I'll talk to Sarge about holding him back. A couple throws in the trial round, and hold off and throw. Found maybe he gets a big one off, and we sit and watch the meet and stuff like that. And because we got to be strategic in the number of what we races, the number of throws, because our kids at a quality level, they're on. It's between greatness is close to injury. You got to get so good and so fine that you're very close to the edge. Of getting hurt. You got to push it to that edge, and coaches have to time it. You can't be overtrained. You can't be overthrown. And with the goals that we have for our team, we got to be. SEC championship is a big meet for us. That's when we're starting to fire. We want it to lead us into regional qualifier. Depth. We find out we don't have big depth. But we have a couple of hitters, and we got to take care of our hitters and make sure that they don't just get too excited, and we get too excited as coaches, and get our performances at Weems Baskin. And kids at their first open home meet, they're fired up. And the weather is supposed to be nice. They are fired up. We got parents coming. They give each one of the kids get 4 parents pass. So I'm a little nervous about the energy and the coaches' energy. It's a home meet. It's family coming. It's I want to come out the fresh air, and it's springtime and the enthusiasm for track, and that's for me. I'm excited too, but I want a little calmness here. Don't. Hey, we're not going for the edge at this point. They're loaded, training wise, and we didn't want to taper them during this week such that they could go big, and then we got to load them when we get ready. And now you taper them, and you got through 3 weeks before you can load them again, and you end up. So we had to stay loaded. 2 weeks of load to come outdoors to open up, and so that's on that edge that you're talking about. The weight room is at 90%, and their training is at 90%. You get about a day rest, and then you go into a competition, and now the enthusiasm jumps up. So it's a delicate place, but the maturity of our staff we'll manage it quite well. We'll be talking Thursday. In fact, today I've talked to each one about where everybody is injury-wise. Our trainer says we're in pretty good shape. We got a few kids. Bailey Rogers, he dinged up from last week, and Chris in the long jump didn't get off. So we got to taper them already because they were training really heavy and they went and competed, and that got me in a nervous bracket because we don't have the depth. And our girls got a lot of depth, and I expect some great things off of the relays.
Yeah, and you said a little bit about some of those heavy hitters. I believe I saw Rachel on the back to possibly high jump this weekend as well. It'd be the first competition for her since nationals. How do you kind of have everyone's expectation and for her to go and take second at nationals and then have to come out here and put on her show maybe in her first time outdoors?
Last week she kind of let her body nerves quieten down because the central nervous system is something you have to back off. Because she had 3 PRs at the national championship, and she had 2 weeks prior to the nationals. She had some big lifts in the weight room for her. Big lifts, she was at 95% in a couple of her lifts, and then we did 1 week taper, and then she has a huge jump. Well, we couldn't leave her there because she missed because of some fall, not enough time to be in fall to create. So we have to be careful and still get her volume back up. Plus, she's an intermediate hurdler, so she's gonna run the high intermediate hurdles and run and high jump, and that still takes science. How many explosive takeoffs do you get? And intermediate hurdling is an explosive takeoff, and so we're counting the numbers. It's like counting pitches in baseball, and then her weight room, two good days this week. Her jumping is today, so you don't want to put them in to get stress reactions or stuff like that. So this early, and she's coming off of it. We know she can jump high. We know we got the formula to how to taper her off in big weight lifting to get a response from her. So I'm not worried about it. If she don't jump a 5.8 this week, I won't bother me at all. If she don't win, doesn't bother me, because she's a gamer. She can play in the big game. So the big thing about us is we kind of got the formula, and Coach D and Coach Kareem, she still ran 52 seconds on the mile relay indoors off of that, so she can have heavy legs from the weight room and still run. It's just how many times can you take a just turning 19-year-old girl who hadn't turned 19 yet? How many times do you do it? Those are all things that we got to be thinking, because some kids have careers. We don't know if she's the one that can run 52 over 400 hurdles, or you don't know if she's the one that can jump 6'5", and so those are things we got to be considering all along, headed into the national, because the outdoor national probably it'll take 6'4", and it takes to get second in the outdoor nationals. So jumping 6'2", she had a shot at 6'2", so she's on track to do some special stuff. Huh? Who I'm looking forward to big is we're gonna run the 200 meters, and Knowledge had a good run in the 100, and then she's gonna go and run a 2 this week, and Leah's gonna run a 2, and Stephanie. Stephanie, his fitness is coming along quite well. She had a 51-second split at the conference meet, offering a month, 31 days from mid-December to mid-January before she actually got back training. And those kind of things, it took her, so she had a month of training after losing a month. That's just about like losing your whole fall. And so now she's had us 6 weeks. I'm interested in seeing her, see how she progresses in this 200, and see if that the speed is coming along. Well, her training is headed to where we can do more speed with her off of into her 6th week, and so looking to see something off of her in this 200 meters. And our freshman who was injured and didn't run on the mile relay, that was number 4 in the country last year in high school, Miss Johnson, Lily. Lily ran 54-1 last week into that headwind, and she missed 3 weeks of training, and so when we went to the national, she wasn't on the mile relay because we're still scared of her hamstring. Now this is 4 weeks of her working back, and she ran with 3 weeks of work. She ended up running 54-1, so she's gonna be our 400-meter entry, and there's a big duel. The 400 here, women's 400, is gonna be a tremendous run. The Kentucky girls, the A&T girls, and Coastal Carolina's got a tremendous young lady in the 400 meters, and that's gonna be that might be the premier event for the women's side of the race. And I'm excited about Kentucky. I'm excited about A&T. I'm excited about Coastal Carolina and the other institutions. Benedict coming in with a D3, NCAA Division II program that always competes on a high level, and South Carolina State coming in, who has national qualifiers that come in, and those schools bring something here, and have always. And it is. I hate that we can't have fans here to watch the experience, where the parents from the area can come watch. We can give our parents an opportunity to see their kids. The Carolina parents are going to get a chance to come to all 4 track meets, and I'm excited about giving that opportunity to our parents.